Welcome to another exciting time on DRTV. The program is a business angle, and I'm Ogali Mafuri. I'm very excited today about the news of our own Okonjo-Iweala becoming the Director General of the World Trade Organization. That makes her the first woman and African to ever occupy such a position. Well, we'll begin the program with a look at the Nigerian stock market report that says that the nation's stock market finished lower on Tuesday as 20 firms saw their share price decline at the end of the trading. The Nigerian Stock Exchange All-Share Index fell by 0.19% to close at 40,944.35 basis points from 40,571 on Monday. The market capitalization of listed equities declined by 40 billion naira to 21.18 trillion naira from 21.22 trillion on Monday. The top 5 losers at the end of the trading on the floor of the NSE on Tuesday were Cornerstone Insurance PLC, the UPDC Real Estate Investment Trust, Consolidated Hallmark Insurance PLC, Prestige Assurance PLC, YP Insurance PLC, Cornerstone Insurance and UPDC declined by 10% each to close at 0.54 naira and 5.40 naira per share respectively. Consolidated Hallmark Insurance fell by 9.52% to 0.38 per share. Prestige Insurance lost 8.51% to close at 0.43 naira per share, while YP shared 8.33% to close at 0.55 per share. A look at the Naira exchange rate says that the Naira exchanged at 473 naira to a dollar in the black market. The pounds also exchanged at 560 naira to a dollar to the pounds, and then euro exchange at 645 to the European euro. Marketers rise. Petrol raises petrol price to 170 naira. Depots suffer shortage. Fuel marketers have started adjusting their fuel pump price amid the supply shortage facing the private depot in Nigeria. Our correspondent observed that some filling stations were selling between the price of 170 to 180 naira per liter. Well, some of the marketers have also blamed all of these problems that we have to grapple with in the oil and gas sector to the depreciating standard of facilities, refineries, and what have you. Well, let's move a bit further to food inflation. It rises to 20.6% as price increases persist. An increase in the prices of basic food items continued for the 7th consecutive month, prompting the food inflation to hit 20.6% in January, the highest since September 2019. Consequently, the nation's annual inflation rate also rose for the 70th consecutive month to 16.47% in January, representing 0.71% points increase from 15.8% in December 2020. The National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) disclosed this in its Consumer Price Index report for January 2021 released yesterday, noting that the rise in the food inflation was caused by increases in prices of bread, cereals, potatoes, yam, and other tubers, meat, fruit, vegetables, fish, oils, and fats. Well, we're moving on. I have someone who would make sense of this and other issues that we'll be looking at. But before we get to meet him, let's talk about the WTO, World Trade Organization, how Okonjo-Iweala has emerged as the Director General of that trade body. It's a remarkable one for the country, and we look towards seeing where all of these things will take us to as the country looks towards recovering from COVID-19. We did a report on the WTO. Let's see it before we continue. The World Trade Organization on Monday appointed Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as its new Director General following the Special Council meeting.
I, as General Council Chair, supported by the facilitators, thereby recommend formally that the General Council agree to appoint Dr. Ngozi Konjo-Iweala of Nigeria as the next Director General of the WTO starting on 1st of March 2021 until 31st August 2025. It is so agreed.
Being made as the chief of the WTO, she becomes the first woman and first African Director General of the Switzerland-based organization. The former Nigerian finance minister became the sole candidate after her major contender from South Korea, Woo Min-hee, formally announced her withdrawal from the candidacy of the WTO top job. A statement from South Korean's Trade Ministry says that he decided after discussions with the US and major nations around the world. She took various issues into account, including the need to revitalize the multilateral organization. The United States, under the President Joe Biden administration, offered its strong support to Konjo-Iweala, citing her wealth of knowledge in economics and international diplomacy from her 25 years with the World Bank and 2 terms as Nigerian finance minister. In her acceptance speech, Konjo-Iweala said a key priority for her would be to work with members to quickly address the economic and health consequences brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as to ensure that the WTO undergo major reforms to bring it back on track to achieve its mandate.
The growing domestic support entitlements of members must be addressed to level the playing field so as to provide opportunities for small-scale farmers. In addition, it is possible for an early agreement on removal of export restrictions, including favorable consideration of the exemption of World Food Programme humanitarian purchases. Likewise, we must also strengthen disciplines on industrial subsidies. In that regard, it would be important to ensure that subsidies granted by members to their state-owned enterprises in certain situations do not distort the conditions of competition.
As Director General, the chief needs to resolve several issues, including the need to broker international trade talks in the face of US-China tensions and pressure to reform trade laws. Ngozi Konjo-Iweala, 66, as Minister of Finance in Nigeria, she spearheaded negotiations with the Paris Club of Creditors that led to the wiping of $30 billion of Nigerian debt, including the outright cancellation of $18 billion. In her second term as Finance Minister, Dr. Konjo-Iweala was responsible for leading reforms that enhanced transparency of government accounts and strengthened institutions against corruption, including the implementation of the Government Integrated Financial Management System and the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Management System and the Treasury Single Accounts. Dr. Konjo-Iweala has been listed as one of Transparency International's 8 female anti-corruption fighters who inspired 2019 one of the 50 greatest world leaders. She is renowned as the first female and black candidate to contest for the presidency of the World Bank Group in 2012, backed by Africa and major developing countries in the first truly contestable race for the world's highest development finance post. As managing director of the World Bank, she had oversight responsibility for the World Bank's $81 billion operational portfolio in Africa, South Asia, Europe, and Central Asia. Dr. Konjo-Iweala spearheaded several World Bank initiatives to assist low-income countries during the 2008 to 2009 food crisis and later during the financial crisis. In 2010, she was chair of the World Bank's successful drive to raise $49.3 billion in grants and loan interest credit for the poorest countries in the world. As congratulatory messages pour in from around Africa, African leaders are optimistic that our appointment will improve trade relationship between Africa and the rest of the world. To you, my guest, to be making sense of some of these issues that we have to talk about on the program is Comrade Pastor Aloysius Okereke. So pleased to have you with us in the studio, sir.
Thank you very much.
So I hope I called the name right. If not, you can introduce yourself, sir.
Okay. My name is Comrade Pastor Aloysius Okereke. I am the General Manager of Oil Spill Victims Vanguard, a non-governmental organization in Nigeria responsible for fighting for the compensation of oil victims in the Niger Delta.
Yeah, we also have plans to talk about the oil spill in the Niger Delta. But before we go, we're still in this mood of, Konjo Iweala emerging as the Director General. We had an interview with an elder statesman. He is Chief Julius Babwa. Let's take a listen before we move further.
Konjo Iweala has brought prestige, pride to our nation in general, not only to Nigeria, but also to Africa. It has shown to the world that Africans, particularly Nigerians, are blessed with intellectuals. We're not only blessed with mineral resources, we're also blessed with human resources. That is why Konjo Iweala can attain that height as a nation. Is going to gain more from this appointment in the area of harnessing other natural resources that have now been abandoned by the Nigerian state just because there was oil exploration. But in this time, other natural resources that have not been given priority because of our membership in the World Trade Organization and our own daughter being the DG of that body is going to make sure that other natural resources like gold, bitumen, silver, even agri produce, government will now concentrate more on this aspect that have been abandoned for so many years. And they will be given a fair price in the world market.
Let's get your quick thoughts about the WTO. Konjo Iweala is now the Director General of that trade organization. Where do you think this will take us to as a nation, economically?
Well, it is a great thing happening to Africa and Nigeria. Of course, Konjo Iweala, she has distinguished herself in the business of managing economy, and when it comes to the World Trade Organization, she is vast. It will further cement the
World
trade relationship
on Monday
between Africa and Asia. She's like a square peg in a square hole. She knows it all. She will be able to balance the trade aspect and the economy aspect, which will help Nigeria and Africa a lot.
Yes. I also like our viewers to know that some of the initiative that Konjo Iweala is bringing on board is to facilitate African trade, to encourage developing countries to also emerge from the impact of COVID-19. She is looking towards seeing that the member countries see vaccine nationalism as a threat to the accomplishment of what the objectives of the World Trade Organization stands for. So she's telling them that they should ensure that vaccines get to developing countries if they indeed want to combat the overwhelming devastating impact of COVID-19, that they should look towards allowing vaccines to come to developing countries. Hence the economic impact will also be seen as a result of her becoming the Director General. So a move further to oil spill. We know that some days back the UK Supreme Court granted Nigerian communities the free access to sue Royal Dutch Shell over oil spills. Can you tell us more about that, seeing that's your area of specialization, sir?
Yes, I am happy to hear the Supreme Court decision and judgment. For us in Oil Spill Victims Vanguard, OSPV, we've been in court with Royal Dutch Shell since 2017 as a result of the Bonga oil spill which occurred in December 2011, and the effect has dealt a great blow on Niger Deltans. And since then, we took Shell to court in 2017. We've been battling. And only recently, last year, the issue Shell was arguing was that we, Nigerians, don't have jurisdiction to hear the case in the UK court. But we got judgment.
Before you move further, we did a report on that. I would like us to see it before we continue on this oil spillage.
Farmers and fishermen took their quest for justice over Shell oil spills in the Niger Delta to British Supreme Court. The community says spills have polluted their lands, water, damaging health and livelihoods. The lawyer said they want to pursue all legal actions against Royal Dutch Shell and its subsidiary in the UK because such cases can take decades to resolve in Nigeria. Shell had argued the case could be heard by the Nigerian courts as the alleged damage took place in West Africa. In a ruling, Supreme Court Justice Lord Nicholas Ambem said that the top court had overturned an earlier decision by the Court of Appeal which had materially erred in law by conducting a mini trial of the evidence.
This is the oral summary of the Supreme Court judgment in the case of Harvey and others, and Royal Dutch Shell plc and another. This appeal concerns the jurisdiction of the court over claims in tort involving a defendant foreign company, where jurisdiction is sought to be founded on an alleged common law duty of care owed by a UK domiciled parent company. The parent company is Royal Dutch Shell plc, RDS, a UK domicile company, and the parent company of the multinational Shell Group. The subsidiary company is the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria, SPDC, a Nigerian registered company which operates oil pipelines and associated infrastructure under a joint venture in Nigeria. The appellants allege that numerous oil spills have occurred from oil pipelines operated in the vicinity of their communities in Nigeria, causing widespread environmental damage, including serious water and ground contamination, as a result of negligent operation, prevention, and remediation. The appellants contend that RDS owed them a common law duty of care because it exercised significant control over material aspects of SPDC's operations and/or assumed responsibility for those operations, which allegedly failed to protect the appellants against the risk of foreseeable harm arising from those operations.
The Supreme Court said that around 50,000 people in the two Nigerian communities could bring lawsuits against Shell and its Nigerian division, Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria, SPDC, over alleged spill in the Niger Delta. It said the London parent company could legally be held responsible for the alleged actions of a subsidiary. The two Nigerian communities of Bile and Ogale claim that they have suffered ongoing oil pollution issues for years because of Shell's operations, including contamination of drinking water. Meanwhile, Shell said the ruling was disappointing as the spill issues happen in communities that are heavily impacted by oil theft, illegal oil refinery, and sabotage of pipelines.
So, Comrade Aliosos, where do you think this court ruling, the Supreme Court ruling, overturning the ruling of the lower court, we knew that the lower court had said that there was no case, and then the Supreme Court overruled the judgment of that lower court, giving rights to communities to sue Shell in the UK. And also the lawyers of the Nigerian communities had said that trying such cases in Nigeria would have taken decades to resolve, so hence the need to try this case in the UK. Now, with the current Supreme Court judgment, where do you think it is in empowering communities to fight for their rights in terms of environmental degradation through oil company activities?
Of course, it's in the right direction. It is a welcome development. Our own case in court, we took cognizance of the various cases in the Nigerian courts. Some of them have lasted over 15, 20 years. And at the end of the day, they will be thrown out. Of course, we know the Nigerian judicial system. The poor man has no hope in the Nigerian judicial system. Hence, those organizations who can have the financial muscle took their cases to the UK court, hoping that one day they will have a reprieve. I want to tell you that on our own part, we capitalized and rode on the back of a subsidiary of Royal Dutch, Snepco. They hired a vessel which came to load crude, and by technical error or whatsoever, there was a spill. We capitalized on this, and that was what we have been in court for so many years. They said they were not the one who spilled the oil, but because we held on to that particular point. For example, NNPC have subsidiaries. If anything happens in DBRO or WRPC, NNPC cannot say they are not to be faulted.
Liable to, yes.
They are not liable.
Yeah.
So that was what Royal Dutch was saying in court.
Yes.
But we held on to that point. Snepco is your subsidiary. They hired the vessel. They are your shipping company. And so whatever happens, you are liable. And by the grace of God, the Supreme Court held on to that and gave us that judgment. Where is going to lead us to? I want to say in the next 6 months, 1 year, the whole of Niger Delta will see a total cleanup.
Okay.
The environmental situation will be healthy. Their aquatic life will come alive again. As I'm talking to you, my organization, OSPIV, we're already in contact with partners in Australia and Canada. Those people are experts in cleanup. In one sweep, from Warrior, they can clean up to Akwa Ibom. We're already in talks, and very soon they will arrive to assess the situation.
Okay, another issue is after the Supreme Court approved that Nigerian communities can sue Royal Dutch Shell as the parent company of SPDC operating in Nigeria, Shell came up with a statement, expressing the disappointment on the judgment and blaming the oil spill on theft, vandalism and illicit activities happening in the respective communities. What do you have to say to that?
I will fault them on that. Like the example given on the Bonga spill, it was as a result of a technical fault, either from a broken or old pipes that is linking or taking the oil into the vessel and out of the vessel. Most of those equipments have stayed too long for a change, and you expect that the pressure from the oil will break such an equipment. And so for them saying that, for us, we don't buy that idea. We have been long in that area. We know that Shell is always coming up with one story or the other.
Are you also disputing the fact that bunkering activities, because we know they exist, they're contributing to the issue we're having in Niger Delta in terms of pollution of land and
yes,
water?
it contributes, but we are talking of a major spill.
Okay.
Major spills occurs when maybe the direct pipeline, the source where they are taking the oil from, or from the vessel. So those are direct spills, not the little ones they are saying from bunkering here and there. We are talking of a major spill, like the Bonga oil spill. Of course, it happened in the River Ramos in 2011, while the vessel was loading. And so the one day accounting is minimal. to such a spill. Recently, in the same Ramos area, sometimes I think in 2017 or 18, it occurred again. So will they say that is as a result of the skeletal bunkering that they are talking about? These are major spills. So it is secondary. Their excuses are secondary. Yes.
Okay, so we're looking to a favorable environment with this court judgment or ruling. But it's just an approval. We have not yet gotten to the end of the road as it relates to the case before the Supreme Court. What will be your expectations?
What I know of the Supreme Court in UK, they are straightforward. It is not like the Nigerian court where you see after a Supreme Court have given a decision and it will later be overturned. The Royal Dutch Supreme Court is supreme. We hold them in high esteem. They have a pedigree. And so that approval will stand the test of time. I don't think there will be any decisions. Of course, you might ask of the reactions of Niger Deltans. I will let you know what Niger Deltans are saying. Because these are people, their economic, aquatic life. If I'm permitted next program, I'll bring a clip. Right now, I am visiting and assessing all the communities that were impacted in Niger Delta. Tomorrow, I will be to the high seashore in Bayelsa, Forapa area, Ekene, the high sea, where the impact of the oil is devastating. Are you talking of the Burutu area? Get to a place like Odimodi. There is nothing you can do economically there. Up as far as even Periwinkle, it can't survive any longer. The pollution has sunk so deep that you can't even do anything meaningfully. Of course, it has made a lot of them relocate to the cities as we are talking. So life in those areas is just down. I will bring the clip for you. You will see how those people, the water, they depend on that. They drink that water. But for now, for years, they suffer because they can't even drink from that water. The hardship is crucial. I think that decision should stand so that in the next few months to 1 year, Niger Deltans should see life back into their communities again. We are waiting for that moment.
Okay. Now we're expecting that with the expected outcome of the Supreme Court's judgment on this, we will see a cleaner environment, as well as the river areas will be looking more productive for dwellers. Even as we expect that, I'd like you to hinge on the significant economic impact. You just enumerated some of the challenges that these people in the rural areas, riverine communities are having to grapple with. To even get ordinary drinking water, clean water is a problem. And we're having to cope with COVID-19. COVID-19 is not we're not out of the woods yet when we talk about COVID-19 pandemic. Now, what would be your assessment of how these people are faring in the midst of this COVID-19, and how this judgment will facilitate economic revival in the Niger Delta?
I tell you one thing, I have visited them. I feel their pain. What would they do? You wouldn't expect them easily to move from their environment. Where will they stay? Because of that, they are stopped. As I'm talking to you, I have so many complaints in my file from the communities. A lot of people are dying because you can't go further. You just give up for life. But with this decision, I see a cleaner environment. The aquatic life will come back to life, because once there is a clean-off, fresh water will come, the fishes will come back. Of course, they are fishermen and women. That is their economic base. So when the fishes come back, the environment is clean. Of course, the economy will improve, because most of them will go back to their source of living, which is fishing. And people from the urban area will go back and buy fishes and exchange of goods and services, water and other services.
Okay. Well, as we look towards the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment, we're expecting that economic life will soon recover in the riverine areas, and it will trickle down to affecting the economy of Delta State. We're talking about food inflation. We read earlier, and inflation has risen to about 20.6% as prices of foodstuffs persist. That is an indication that we need to, dwell in more production. Well, could you just tell us the reason for this inflation? Aside the fact that yes, we have COVID-19 on one side, why is this inflation? What is the brain behind this overwhelming increase of food prices, and how can the issue at hand begin to solve some of these challenges?
Well, I think the influx of people too from a particular area to another area, it brings inflation. If you go to those communities where those fishermen were living, they have all left, and they are saturated in places like Warri and urban towns, and of course you should expect the inflation rate to go high.
More so because they're not even producing.
They are not even producing. Most of them too, despite they are fishermen, they still have little portions of land. They cultivate cassava, plantain, and all those, but the whole area has been polluted, and so there is an influx of those people from the community to the upland.
Well, I must say thank you, Comrade Aloysius Okerieke. Thank you very much for being on the program today. We look forward to seeing you again when you educate on this oil spill. You promise you bring us photos. We'd like to, see some of those photos and dwell more on this oil spill. We're expecting that a favorable judgment will come from the Supreme Court, and it will, generate into more clean environment and economic recovery for the riverine people in the Niger Delta. It has been an exciting time on the program, conversing with our guest who had thrown more light on the issues surrounding the Niger Delta as it relates to oil spill. Do well to join us again for another exciting time next week, same time. I'm Ogali Mafuru. Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.